Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here we are, the day before the most important election, I think, ever in the history of America. And I think we should remember what the Bible says in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and, of course, the best in service. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love it. Thank you very much. Call back in a little bit, old buddy. I appreciate it. And right now we're going to go to the weather forecast to start things off this morning on this Monday, the first Monday of November. My, how time flies when we're having fun. K&R Rental is the sponsoring agent of our weather forecast at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. I think the forecast is going to tell you that you'd better get out this week and get all those sprinkler systems and pipes blown out. They've got all the equipment for that, and get all the equipment necessary to kind of winterize and put your garden to bed till next spring. All of that and more with Roger and the crew at K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Warmer than normal temperatures for the beginning of the work week, cooling off by the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting mostly sunny skies, high of about 69, winds out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight mostly clear skies, low of 32. Tomorrow sunny and 70 with an overnight low of 35. By Wednesday, sunny and 68. Again, 70 for Thursday, 61 for Friday, low 40s for Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, it's going to change. It's going to change. Weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Call if you have questions about any of the equipment you need to finish any kind of a project for both long and short-term rental. 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Caller, you know the drill. Stand by just a minute. I'll be right there. Go vote. Go vote. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and go vote for the candidate of your choice tomorrow, November 3rd. This message paid by the re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood Committee, Steve Westfall, Treasurer. By the way, too, don't forget our friends over at Daryl's Cleaners. I did not get in there last week. I just had a change of schedule. I've got to get in there because I've got a whole bag full of shirts that have to be taken care of. They do the best job of keeping your clothes looking brand spanking new. Absolutely. They're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And believe me, Kevin and Cindy can and will help you with your clothes. And don't forget, if you don't have time to do your washing, they can. They'll wash, dry, fold, and take care of your clothes just like Mama used to. At Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Real quick note, too, that I want to give a big shout-out and thank you to my dear, dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They also get there early in the morning. As a matter of fact, they open the doors at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And believe me, it's true. It's not bragging because it's a fact. They have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Ted. To you and your family.
Thank you.
You know, you got an important call holding, so I'm going to just be quiet and let you get the message. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye. And what is the important message? Oh, another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. The menu for the Burley Senior Center lunch today is sweet and sour pork and all of the trimmings for a yummy luncheon.
Okay, Joe. Well, by golly, we'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland, and if you want to stay there and eat or have a takeout, they're ready to serve you, right, Joe?
That's right.
All right. Well, God bless you. $5, man, you're going to get some great eating for just $5 at the Senior Center, and there's the best cheerleader for that Senior Center, Joe Taylor. God bless you, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. What a nice man. Just really a nice, nice man. Caller, I'll be right there. Hold on. Hold on. I want to tell everybody about Dino's Septic Service. They really have the most modern of equipment. And they've got those cameras that go down and they go through all the pipes and everything and say, voila, we have found the problem. Dino's Septic Service. Oh, my goodness sakes. All the backhoe services, septic tank pumping, sewer and sink drain lines clean, liquid waste removal. Yep. You better get a hold of them today. Dino Septic Service in Rupert, 436-6526, Burley, 678-1638, and Twin Falls. Hello, Twin, 735-8281, with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way to serve you. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again.
Yeah, go ahead, my friend.
Well, I just wanted to be courteous there. You know, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, the polls close. And they mean close. They don't mean, hold on, I got 2 more votes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it is closed. It's just like if you're running a store downtown and you close at 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock you lock that door and it's over till the next day.
That's right.
This election is not going to be over forever.
You know, Keith, I'm kind of glad that sometimes you call and some of the topics are, well, iffy. But this morning's topic is spot on, driving the nail through the board. I really don't know, and I don't think anybody can tell me when this vote is going to be finalized for this presidential election. It could be a week, it could be weeks, or it might even be up for discussion and arbitration going into next year. I'm really concerned about this.
The thing that I like the most is that we got that extra person on the judgment seat. And if it comes to that, I understand the score is like 6-3 as far as voting on the judgment.
Yeah, you're talking about the Supreme Court, right?
Yes. And they're going to lose no matter what. But gosh darn it, they've had their way for too long now. They push us around and push us around because we, the Republicans, are nice people.
Well,
I'm not saying there isn't some good Democrats. I'm just saying the bad ones are at their worst.
I got some stories about that this morning that'll curl your hair, and I really do appreciate it. Every morning you get up and you call first thing, Keith, God bless you and Nancy. And by the way, give the sugar cookie queen of Magic Valley a big hug this morning. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
I'll do it right now.
All right, thank you much. Hey, don't forget, Clark Kaufman asked for your vote to re-elect him as Idaho State Representative, District Seat 25B. Even more, Clark wants you to get out and exercise your right to vote. Clark Kaufman has served Idaho well since 2012, serving you, serving all of Idaho. In order to logically keep our voices heard, Clark encourages you to vote yes on the constitutional amendment, changing the language to simply require the legislature to consist of 35 districts. Let's all do our part. Get out and vote. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Clark Kaufman for House 25B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. By the way, too, I want to give a great big shout-out and brag, and it's not bragging when it's a fact, and that's, of course, Denny's Restaurant. What a great place to go eat. I am a breakfast nut. I really am. I could eat breakfast at 9 o'clock at night. I love breakfast, and they have got a breakfast schedule over there at Denny's Restaurant that is phenomenal. Absolutely. And, well, all the meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time, and, of course, desserts. Oh, yeah. And served by really good, great people that care about your dining experience at Denny's Restaurant. America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. The big day is tomorrow. Yes, it is. And it's November 3rd, Election Day. And I would say this, caller, stand by just a minute. I would say this to anybody and everybody out there that has been lax on exercising your patriotic duty to go vote. You can make arrangements to rearrange your sock drawer or clean the kitty's litter box some other time. Go vote. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
This is one of the most important elections in my lifetime.
Well, undoubtedly.
Yes. Yes, it is. Did you catch Mark Levin on his special Saturday when he interviewed himself? Well, basically, he was the guest on his show.
I caught bits and pieces of it. There were interims that I managed to get over and watch some of it, but I know you caught it all, so give us the highlights quickly.
Well, the highlight was the manifesto, the 110-page manifesto on Biden's website.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Anyway.
You got more doggone noises going off over there than a carnival.
I was getting ready to start dancing.
Oh, don't, please. With your short pants on, it might really remove the audience attention on your subject.
They're long pants today.
I see.
Chilly.
Okay.
But that 110-page manifesto, he's gone through it. And then he compared it to the 1936 USSR Constitution that Stalin told his people.
Mm-hmm.
And he read a bunch of paragraphs out of that USSR Constitution, and it sounds so much like what the Democrats are offering, but they will never be able to produce, just like Stalin did.
Yeah. You know, Doug, let's simplify this a little bit. And, Sean, there's just a tad bit of feedback here on the line. Some of the voters, and I know some that have talked to me, and I'm going to probably lose their friendship, but I guess I'm going to have to say that's the way it is, because I'm going to be honest. There are some voters, even here, that I think are more than naive about this election. Some will come out and say, I don't like Trump's personality, so I'm going to vote for Biden. And some will say, I don't like Trump and his tweets, so I'm going to vote for Biden. You know, let's just say it like this. Vote for the results that this man has had in the last 3 3/4 years, not style. vote for results, not style. That's what the voters need to think about instead of this mamby-pamby, oh, I don't like the way he talks, so I'm going to vote for Biden. That is the most asinine thing I've ever heard.
Well, it is, because President Trump is not a politician. President Trump is a businessman, and he fights for what's right. He has given up a billion-dollar lifestyle to become president of the United States and be attacked 24/7, 365 by the mainstream media and the Democrats. He has given that up for the American people. And if they can't see that he is just fighting for the American people, he's not doing this to better himself, to enrich himself, like the Clintons and the Obamas did, which are worth hundreds of millions now after they left office. I mean, President Trump is $1 billion less now, worth $1 billion less now than he was when he ran for office.
I'm just going to say this, that I'm so fed up with the tunnel vision thinking of not voting for Trump. I don't like what he said, so I'm not going to vote for him. I mean, vote for getting a job done. Vote for your economic and security future. Don't vote for a Biden-Harris team that's bent on socialism. And let me just say something else here real quick. I've got another call waiting. Yep. That I was absolutely taken aback by the Bernie Sanders get-together on the computer, on the internet the other day, when he had Rashida Tlaib, and he had Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and they were all talking about leading Biden down a further left trail after he takes over the presidency. If you want that, socialism and Muslims in control and absolute trillions and trillions of dollars for green energy, get your head out of the sand, and you better wake up as to what's going on.
Exactly. And there's people out there. Did you see that one reporter asked this one kid that he said, to ensure a Biden victory, would you punch your mother in the face? And he says, yeah, I would. I love you, Mom, but I would do that.
Oh, that's beyond despicable. I mean, this shows you the caliber and the true colors of the left. They are absolutely without conscience. They're absolutely without morality, and I absolutely despise those people.
Yes, and the other day, too, I heard, too, that there are, all Democrats are not socialists, but all socialists are Democrats.
I know exactly where the quote came from, too. God bless you, Doug. Quickly, give me a real short spiel. I got a caller waiting.
Okay, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. I know it sounds like a broken record, but they built this country with their sweat and tears that we are enjoying right now, that we are in a election battling for. But let's support them. Go donate and go eat there and leave with a full stomach and a full heart.
There you go. Thank you as always, Doug. Appreciate you. Caller, I'll be right there. Vote November 3rd tomorrow for an Idaho representative that has worked very hard to help preserve and enhance our agricultural industry, protect our resources, and stand firm for family values. I'm talking about Lori Likely, State Representative, District 25A. Lori knows what's important for Idaho to grow and prosper, and she wants your vote tomorrow, November 3rd. Lori Likely for District 25A, paid for, Likely for Idaho, Bill Likely, Treasurer. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Joe Biden is the godfather of a corrupt Democratic Party. And the only thing we're going to get out of this man is socialism and communism. On the other hand, we need to vote Donald Trump back in, because we have had peace and prosperity through strength.
Tony,
and that's about it as far as I'm concerned.
Tony, let me ask you a question. Are you as repulsed as I am with these people that blame Trump for the coronavirus and for the contagion of the coronavirus and for the deaths of the coronavirus? It is absolutely insane to point their finger at the presidency when they should be pointing their fingers at China in total damnation and condemnation.
Well, let's put the blame where it belongs. That Fu Manchu up there in China, the only thing he wants to do is gain control of inner space and outer space, control of the entire world. And another reason why to put that, not Donald Trump has no control over this. The Chinese did all of it on their own. And one other little thing. Protect the Second Amendment, because I remember when I had a gun confiscated in New York, and I never got over it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I moved into the free state of Idaho.
There you go. And we're glad to have you as a neighbor. God bless you and Mary. You're very, very nice people. Thank you, Tony. Every time you call, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, vote November 3rd, and be sure to vote yes for the levy increase for the Rock Creek Fire District. They are always there to serve us. Now let's help them. Vote yes for the Rock Creek Fire District levy, paid for by Rock Creek Firefighters Association. May I say that again? Paid for by the Rock Creek Firefighters Association, without biting my tongue. There you go. Caller, thank you. You're on the air.
Hello again. You know, maybe you can answer my question, and that is, can you register the day of the voting at the polls?
I don't know, but oh, you better call. No, don't put me on the spot. Call the county clerk right now. Wait a minute, listen to me. Call Joe and let him know your question, Joe Larson. I'm not going to get into this area of can you or should you. There are people that are much more knowledgeable. If I say anything, it's going to be an opinion that I should not voice until I have the exact knowledge. Joe Larson, there's none better than him for answering that question. I would think so, but you better call the county clerk.
Well, if this is possible, here's what Nancy and I will do. We'll take anybody, any time of the day until 8 o'clock in the evening, to the polls, and if it's possible, get them registered and get them voted.
That's nice. That is really nice.
The number is 208-260-1178.
You know, I wish more people would have that kind of an attitude to help others that may not be with transportation or worried about trying to get to the polls. That is a very nice gesture. And there again, folks, you can call Keith. He's a dear friend of this program. And the number, let me say it out of memory, 260-1, what is it again, 11?
260-1178.
Gotcha. Keith, that is a very nice gesture. God bless you for your call. I got to run and do a cookie giveaway.
I will drop anything that we're doing right now and go help you.
All right. God bless you. Thank you, and I mean that.
You bet. Bye-bye.
We're going to give away some cookies quickly. I got a whole bunch of things to do today, and I need your help. Of course, the cookies are from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 E Street in Rupert. What a bakery. What a restaurant. You'll never leave hungry. And they have everything, all the cookies, the pies, the cakes, the desserts, the muffins. Oh, it's delicious, delicious. That peach pie we got from them knocked my boots off. Fantastic. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 E Street in Rupert. If you're the winner, call them and let them know when you'll be over to pick up your cookies. On the TV show, McHale's Navy, what was the number on the PT boat? On the TV show, McHale's Navy, what was the number on the PT boat? First person to call and give me the right answer wins the cookies. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. What was the number of the PT boat on McHale's Navy? Give me a call and let me know what your thoughts are on that. While I'm waiting for your call, Don't forget, vote tomorrow, November 3rd, District 24A needs Paul Thompson in the Idaho House. Yes, Paul Thompson knows we need values established by God, fiscal responsibility, and all life matters. The right to protect ourselves and guaranteed freedom to worship and speak. A strong state education system and patients are in charge, not politicians. And above all, our Constitution is never second to anyone. Vote Paul Thompson, District 24A, paid for by Paul Thompson for Idaho, Issy Gibbs, Treasurer. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. What's the answer?
The answer is PT73.
Okay. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here, caller. I'm going to give you the cookies. But what did PT stand for?
Patrol.
And what was the T for?
Technical.
No. I'm going to still give you the cookies, but what's your name?
Jack Alexander.
Jack Alexander, you have won the cookies, but PT stood for Patrol Torpedo. All right?
Patrol. What was the second?
Torpedo.
Torpedo.
Right.
Yeah, they could launch those
Yep.
just out of pure speed.
Yep, Patrol Torpedo, and it was number 73. And Jack Alexander, you won the cookies. God bless you, man. Go get your cookies. Call them. Thank you very much. All right, sir. Yep, McHale's Navy, PT73. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you see that virtual kind of gathering, like a bunch of... I don't know, crime syndicate members all talking together? I mean, I'm talking about Bernie Sanders. I'm talking about Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Iona Presley, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Bernie with his harem. And Bernie was saying, oh, well, we got to get Joe in there. He's not as far left as we want him, but once he gets in there, we can kind of mold and shape him as to what direction to go and everything. Whoa. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, let's hope that in order to stop the communists from stealing the election, and that's the Democrats, let's hope that there's such an overwhelming, support of Trump, and he's got so many states that it wouldn't matter what kind of swing state votes they would have or potential votes that would come in, it would just, swamp them. And so Saturday I was out working, and one of my buddies said this to me. Now, 50 Cent is a rapper, and so is Lil Wayne. He's 5 foot tall and his teeth are all decorated gold and silver and whatever they are.
Yeah, well, go fast, Randy. Keep going.
Okay, he's got 30 million followers, and he has said we're voting for Trump because we don't want to get taxed and regulated to death. 30 million black followers. And so, I don't know what it means, but it might mean a lot. It might end up being there's so many blacks vote for Trump and Hispanics that that alone could change. It may be so overwhelming in front for Trump that we could just be, I'm going to have a party.
Well, hold on a second. No, don't hang up. I want to have you respond to something else. Listen to me. Representative Maxine Waters came out after the interviews with Lil Wayne and others, 50 Cent and all that type of thing, and she said this to the black community, and I'm not exaggerating. You can look it up. It came out this weekend. She said, quote, I will never, ever forgive them. And she was talking about black voters and black leadership that vote for Trump. She said it's shameful if young black voters vote Republican. And then another black, Congressman James Clyburn, said, I will have to pray for them if they vote and support Trump. That shows you the absolute idiocy of the left and the Democrats.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And the fact that so many black people have been going along, and I guess to get along, maybe they thought it was going to affect their welfare payments. But there's a lot of black people that are upright, mobile, free market capitalists.
Yep.
And, those people are, want to continue to have it whatever color they are. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to be done. A couple of weeks ago, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said some things about flyovers, and both of them got rich on free market capitalism, and and now they're turning against us after they got theirs. Joe Buck's worth $15 million. Troy Aikman, I figured he's worth 20, but guess what? He's worth $50 million. And now they're going to vote for what? What are they going to vote for? Biden, Harris?
Yeah.
I don't know, Zeb.
It's a scary world, and the influential are influencing as much as they can to lead us down the road to socialism. Randy, I always appreciate your call. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
All righty. Hey, don't forget that go vote tomorrow, November 3rd, and vote yes for Amendment HJR 4, and leave the number of legislative districts at 35, guaranteeing that our voices will be heard on all issues and also preserving rural representation. Paid for by Speaker of the House Representative Scott Bedke, District 27, Sarah Bedke, Treasurer. I'm going to read you a letter. A very, very short letter that was in the Times News this past week. And to me, it is an example, and it amplifies how snarky and elitist the left are. And it's from a Democrat in Twin Falls. It's a very short letter, but it just oozes. It oozes elitism and condescension. I'm going to read that to you in just a minute. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. And they've got 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. Now, here's the deal. They've got a great big sandbox out behind these businesses. They teach you how to run the equipment, whether you're there for a new Bobcat of any shape or size, trenchers, scissor lifts, or all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, for all the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. Remember, it's Berry Equipment and Rental. They really care. They've got great rental rates, and they've got super financing programs to buy. Berry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Really good people. This letter was, and I'm going to mention the guy's name too, Joseph Salisbury of Twin Falls. Joe, I hope you sleep real good at night with your kind of snarky and very elitist attitude. Let me read this to you and see if you got the same drift of it the way I did. Oh, Marty, Stephen, Adrian, and others who seem to have abandoned fact, science, and reason. Please join me over here on the side of culture, inclusion, and fairness. You'll find a much happier and fulfilling life. That was like dried maple syrup in your armpits. Ooh. Ooh. Absolutely, if we disagree with the left's philosophies, if they had a philosophy, which are all biased and wrong, we can't have our own opinion. And people like Steve Hartgen and Adrian Arp and others that write letters to the paper, they have abandoned, according to Joe Salisbury, he sits up on a plastic throne with his little scepter. They've abandoned fact, science, and reason. No, we have not. No, we have not. It's just that we won't fall into lockstep with idiocy and incompetency, Joe Salisbury. And then when he says, please join me over here on the side of culture, inclusion, and fairness, Joe, please, you've been way too long taking a nap. Wake up and smell the coffee. I really get upset when the left runs down everybody that doesn't fall in lockstep and believe the way they do, speak the way they do, and have to walk and talk and chew gum the way they do. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let me remind you there's big deals going on at Redder's Showcase. I got to tell you this real quick. Absolutely. They have got a huge, that means really big, customer appreciation sale, and it's coming up this weekend on the 6th and the 7th. And it's going to be 8:30 to 6 on Friday and 9 to 5 on Saturday. Listen to this. They're going to have all kinds of great buys, and you can sweeten the deal. Pick a candy bar up for an additional $100 off, and floor model discounts up to 50% off, and a drawing for a free Serta Queen mattress. Woo, wow. Washers and dryers starting at just $9.99. All of this in a huge customer appreciation sale coming up this Friday and Saturday at Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. You be sure and stop in and see those good folks this weekend. Okay. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Today, this is really funny. I have seen the video. I watched it. Today, Joe Biden is teaming up with, and this name will just knock your boots off. He's teaming up at a rally with Lady Gaga. I'm not making this up. I call her Lady Gag. Anyway, he's teaming up with her at a rally. And here's the interesting thing. Remember last week when Biden was being hauled all over the living room floor for being against fracking, and he had to double track and everything and say, well, I'm not against fracking, I'm not against the oil industry. Oh, yeah, Joe, you lied again. Teaming up with Lady Gaga, and she has come out numerous times, I've got those numerous times right here on my desk, and condemned the fuel industry, condemned fracking and everything. Well, he's going to be doing a rally with her. And there was a video that came out this weekend that shows, and it's a repulsive video, so don't even try to look it up. Don't look it up with your kids in the room. And she's wearing somewhat of a camo outfit and leaning up against a Hummer with a can of beer in her hand, and saying how she supports the left and Joe Biden. Now, isn't that really a great picture for the young people in this country? And it really tells a lot about their platform. There stands this rather homely blonde Lady Gaga in an abbreviated camo outfit, leaning up against a Hummer, and drinks one sip of beer and throws it on the ground. And then says, vote for Joe Biden. My grandma, my German grandmother, used to say, "Hi, yi, 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 yi." Yeah, how despicable, how low-classed. That's the Democrats and Joe Biden. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It doesn't get any worse than this, I hope. We're going to talk about early voting in just a minute, so stand by. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hearing affects every aspect of your life, and when you notice a diminishment in your hearing, you'd better get it taken care of and call the professionals at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, serving you with the best practices and technology for hearing health. Absolutely. The number to call, 312-0957. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Warmer than normal temperatures for the beginning of the work week, cooling off by the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting mostly sunny skies, high of about 69, winds out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight mostly clear skies, low of 32. Tomorrow sunny and 70 with an overnight low of 35. By Wednesday, sunny and 68. Again, 70 for Thursday, 61 for Friday, low 40s for Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And the weather, of course, brought to you by our wonderful friends at Mount Harrison Audiology, and they are committed to providing expert diagnostic testing with the best technology to help your hearing health. Please, like I said, call for an appointment today at 312-0957. Calls are welcome. Don't let me down. Come on, the day before the big day, and it is going to be a big day. I hope that the polls are seeing record numbers tomorrow. I am a little bit nervous and a little bit scared about the 93, almost 94 million votes that have already been in early voting. 94 million. We'll round it off. And that's a record. But here again, I'm going to come right out and say, those of us that go to the polls tomorrow, I think are and I'm not running anybody's voting down, are the most valid votes, because we're doing it the old-fashioned way, the correct way at the polls. They found in Miami-Dade County in Florida thousands and thousands and thousands and more thousands of ballots laying on the floor in a room. And this does not solidify my hopes for a valid election. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Caller, you better talk or I'm going to hang up and go someplace else. Go ahead.
Oh, good morning. It's just me again, Zeb. That fellow that wrote that article in the paper, he able to talk to the millions of black people that Donald Trump has lifted out of poverty, got them out of the slums and got them into jobs and got them going again as human beings.
Absolutely, but you know, did you read, if you didn't read the letter, I read it on the air, it just is one of those that it's slimy and greasy and very snarky that they, the Democrats on the left, are so much superior to everybody else. It just stunk.
Well, this country go to hell if the Democrats ever got in. The people are going to find out that they're going to be in lockstep, just like the Communist Party is. You'll have one leader up there, and he'll dictate your life from the day you're born until the day you die.
I agree. I just had to put that on the air because I don't like the elitist attitude, the snobbish attitude, the condescending attitude of the left. Oh, we're the side of culture, inclusion, and fairness. Oh, Joe Salisbury, please take a long hike. Take a knapsack with you with some fried chicken or whatever, and don't come home soon. Tony, God bless you for your call back. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning again. I got a hold of the clerk's office, and they assured me that, yes, you can register at the polling place on election day.
There you go.
But I don't think you can do it today. They were a little vague on that, so don't even try to register today.
Well, go to the county clerk's office. Just go right to the office and register. I'm sure you can.
Well, if you can, then that's what you should do.
I really appreciate...
Since getting there, I will keep my offer open.
Yeah, and I think that was really nice. Keith called and said that if you have trouble or any transportation problems getting to the polls tomorrow, call him on his cell phone at 260-1178. And that is one of the nicest gestures that I've heard in a long time. And I salute you and Nancy for doing that. Thank you.
Yes, we'll be glad to do it. You know, it doesn't... I hate to say this, but I'm not even going to ask them their preference of who they're voting for.
Absolutely not. I mean,
think they should vote.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, and very personal choice, and I agree with you. Keith, again, I salute you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
94 million votes cast already. Now, come on. It's somebody out there that doesn't think there couldn't be some real under-the-table bandito-type attitudes or fraudulent activities with our votes. Come on, come on. We may not know the outcome of this election, and I am not exaggerating this when I say this, for weeks. For weeks. And the longer that it goes with, oh, we found a bag of votes in Milton, Wisconsin in a back room, and then we found another bag over in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and they keep finding things. This thing could go on and on and on. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, this is a bit off topic, but I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but I heard through a Facebook post that Steve Mitten's father had passed away.
I do not know that. I have not heard that, and I don't want to elaborate on it until I get the facts. And if anything is true, of course, our sympathies would go to the entire family. I appreciate you bringing that up, and I will check it out.
Bring that up and say to keep him and his family in our prayers.
I certainly will, and I thank you for your comment. I, of course, will check with the office during the break, and I thank you very much. Sadness. I certainly hope it's not true, but if so, we extend our condolences. So calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The only thing I'm going to ask you about tomorrow is when you go to the polls, just remember this is a heritage and a value system that has been handed to us in a country for well over 200 years. The blood, sweat, and tears, and yes, the lives that were given for us to live in the greatest free country in the world. And tomorrow, we're going to exercise the right of going to vote for leadership of this country. I am very worried about insidious sources that will try to make fraudulent this election. Oh, the losing of votes. Oh, the counting of ballots much later. And I am concerned about this. We may, as I said a moment ago, may not know the outcome of this election until maybe even the mid or latter part of this month of November. And that really worries me. It should you too. But let's go to the polls tomorrow and vote on November 3rd. I want to give a great big thank you and a shout out to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and of course all 7 locations serving you with the very best of tires and brake service and front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. Yep, that's right. They've got all the tires, all the different tread designs, and all the sizes to fit all vehicles. All you need to do is stop in and say hello to them, and they will take it from there. Absolutely the professionals. Be sure and stop in and see James in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane in Rupert, Mike in Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and Trent, my buddy on Overland in Burley. All 7 locations serving you. You stop in and see them today. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Have you taken your blood pressure medicine?
I did at 4 o'clock, but I don't think it's working.
Well, you heard about Hillary Clinton be putting on the board of electors?
Yes. I had that story on the air last week.
Isn't that disgusting?
Well, here's the lady that condemned the Electoral College and said she wanted to see it abolished. And then she sits down and is on the board of those electors in the state of New York. What a complete lying hypocrite.
Well, double standards, and if they didn't have double standards, most of them wouldn't have any.
You know, I wish that Hillary would just take the advice of many, many, many more people than just me and buy a kitty cat that likes to lay on people's laps, go find a rocking chair, and watch the birds in the feeder.
Very true. But it scares me what can happen, because I remember the Gore Bush deal, those tabs down in Florida.
Yeah. The hanging chads.
Hanging chads.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and that was, to me, honestly, a part of America that was defining how stupid people can be.
Exactly. And you think that was disgraceful. Wait till you see what they're going to come up here in this election, this next week.
You know, and I so hope you're wrong, but you're not. You and I are both on the same page. Doug, I got to run to the news, which is going to be fun to watch, and I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Thank you. He's gone. We're going to take a little break and send it back over to our main studio, and then we're going to get a chance to talk to somebody that really doggone sure knows, and that's Rick Manning. He knows the president. He's worked with the president. He's worked in the swamp of politics. He's going to tell us what his thoughts are about voting tomorrow, and then Frosty Woolridge at 9:30. Don't forget that. I'll be back in 7. Don't go away. Oh, play that piano. I love that opening sequence. One of my favorites. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, with the best in tires and service to you. And also our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services.
Holy moly, do you realize we are only 25 days away from Thanksgiving, and maybe you're going to have Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred and Granny and Grampy over there, and the house is a mess. You got to clean it up. You've got to clean it out, the basement, the living room, the upstairs. Maybe they're going to be staying overnight. Oh, you're tearing your hair out, but don't. Get a dumpster from Western Waste Services. They'll bring it over. You fill it up. They'll come and get it. They are always at your disposal. Call them today at 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Want to remind you, too, go vote tomorrow. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and vote for the candidate of your choice on November 3rd. Tomorrow, this message paid by the Re-elect District 27 Representative, Fred Wood Committee. Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Big shout-out, too, to our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward and his family and staff, serving you and your family in a real traumatic time of need when there's the passing of a loved one. Don't forget, give them a call. They can help. They will help. Always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and the upholding of the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Remember, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. One other quick note, and I'm a hoping that I can start up again this next week at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, working on my knee. Oh yeah, the older I get, the creaks and the moans and the groans. Well, they can help. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Absolutely, with the best physical therapists, headed up by Nick Greenwell. All you have to do, simple, call them, make an appointment, 678 678-1191. 678-1191. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I got these new cough drops, and holy smokes, it's like opening up an irrigation system. Woo! Do they make your mouth water? Good morning, President of Americans for Limited Government. I got to swallow. Rick Manning, how are you?
You know, I still look for the Smith Brothers cough drops from the good old days.
I tried some of those Ricolas, and I didn't like them at all.
Yeah. They pack a punch.
Yes, yes, they do. Speaking of packing a punch, which you so deftly led me right into, 93, almost 94 million voters already in early voting. What kind of a punch is that going to pack?
Oh, it transforms the way we do elections, and if it's because it's interesting to get stuff out at the last minute, but it's not relevant if 3/4 of the people have voted. Here's the thing that's interesting, and I've only looked at a couple of the states' data, and different states you get different information on, but at least as of last Thursday in North Carolina, it appeared as though the Democrats, in terms of the number of mail-in ballots percentage of mail-in ballots that they'd gotten in, was really pretty significantly low. They had like 400,000, 500,000 mail-in ballots still outstanding, and then and the Republicans had about 300,000 outstanding. The Republicans' plan was always to go and vote in person, and so it's the Democrats have put all their eggs into the mail-in ballot idea, and based on the desperate calls that they're now doing, looking for people to get out the vote, door knocking, looking for telling people on Facebook that it's too late to send in your ballot by mail, you have to hand deliver it. They're feeling pretty desperate because they've put all their eggs in a vote by mail system, and they've also spent all their time telling people, their own voters, it's unsafe to go out. If it's really hard to now tell people, oh, you need to go submit your ballot. You need to go out and vote in person. After what you've effectively been telling them for 3 months is, it's too dangerous to go out. It's too dangerous. You're going to die if you go out. And according to Gallup, only 23% of the Democrats feel comfortable going out and doing stuff like that. So they have effectively told all the people who were going to vote for them that it's unsafe for them to vote in person. They're going to win big on the mail-in ballots, otherwise they're dead. And and from what I understand, they're not winning big on the mail-in ballots. I'll go to Texas as an example. In Texas, 90% of the votes have had more people vote already than voted in the entirety of the 2016 election. Now, there's about 3 million more registered voters now than there was then, so that's not unexpected that they'll get more people turning out, but voting in advance is pretty significant. But 9 out of 10 of those votes were cast in person, not by mail. And as a result, you're looking at people who physically went and stood in line to vote. That's exactly the opposite of what Democrats have been telling their people they should do. Mm-hmm. And so like in Texas, all the polls show one thing and all this. Unless I would be very surprised if Donald Trump doesn't win Texas handily, because Republicans are not afraid to vote in person and Democrats are, based on national surveys. Doesn't mean all Democrats are. It doesn't mean all Republicans are. But the fact is, a vast majority of Democrats have been significantly scared, and the uptick in cases over the Democrats have made such a big deal out of in the last week hasn't done anything to help them convince their people that they should go out and risk their life to vote for Joe Biden. So they just made a huge tactical error, in my estimation. Now we'll see what happens when they count the votes. But after looking at what's happened in North Carolina, after looking at the fact in Texas, for every 9 votes cast in a Republican county, 8 votes were cast in a Democrat county, and knowing that 9 out of 10 votes were cast in person, I think the idea that Texas is going to go blue is a myth. It's a dream that they have, and they're hoping they can have enough votes in the Houston area to pull it off. But and by votes I mean votes that mysteriously appear that don't really attach to any individuals. But there's only so much they can steal in Harris County, and so it's I'll be very surprised if the Democrats win Texas, and quite honestly, I'll be very surprised if Joe Biden is president.
Surely, positively, you have overlooked one very important issue, and that today, for a real nail-bender, is Joe Biden soliciting the use of Lady Gaga the day before the election. What's the matter with you, Rick? How could you overlook that?
Well, I guess you're overlooking the fact that the president's got a bunch of rappers coming out endorsing him today. And you want to know where the battle is the real interesting thing that's happening? Lady Gaga isn't going to get anybody to vote who wouldn't have voted anyway, okay? It's like the Bruce Springsteen concert the night before the election. People go for a concert and then they vote however they want to vote. But what the black rappers coming out for Trump, and this has been happening, this is kind of drip over time. What that does is it changes the entire dynamic for the Democrats and how they win. And there's already credible polling that shows that Biden is only winning 75-25 in Philadelphia. Hillary won Philadelphia 85-15. Okay, to give you some perspective, that turnout in Philadelphia is extraordinarily low. They're disappointed in the turnout in Philadelphia. And, so you sit there and you look at it, why would that be? Well, Donald Trump has a better case to make to African-American voters than Joe Biden does, and he's been making it aggressively. And rappers coming out for Joe Biden, I don't know who any of them are. It's not my genre. But the fact is, there's a psychological theory that says that people who behave a certain way, even if they think they should do something different, really need to get validation and permission. And what the rappers coming out for Donald Trump are doing is they're giving permission to black voters, particularly young black male voters, to not vote for Joe Biden. That's what they're doing. They may not vote. I don't know that they're going to vote for Donald Trump. But they're certainly giving them permission to not vote for Joe Biden. And there is a I hate to call it a revolution because in the context of Antifa burning everything down, it's not a revolution. There is a sea change that's occurring. And that sea change, nobody's prepared for, but it is and it's going to have impacts that I can't totally get what they're going to be. But I think African-American votes, particularly African-American male votes, are going to be in play over the next decade in terms of who gets those votes. And that is going to change politics as we know it.
You just touched on a subject that I'm so glad you got into, if you'll pardon that expression. But Maxine Waters, and you touched on it, you've said it all. Maxine Waters came out over the weekend and said that if black voters vote for Trump, I will never, ever forgive them. And then she said about the young black voters that she thinks it's shameful that they would think about voting for Trump. And then black James Clyburn came out and said, oh, no, they can't vote for Trump. I'll have to pray for them and try to stop them from supporting the president. I see a real rift in the black community in this election, and I think you've already alluded to it.
Yeah, you have people who are still fighting the civil rights battles of the 60s. That's the Clyburns and the Maxine Waters, and the Democratic Party for that matter. So they're still fighting the civil rights battles of the 60s. Donald Trump is fighting the civil rights battle of the 2020s. And the civil rights battle of the 2020s is people getting jobs, people getting wealthy, people being able to have equal opportunity. And through the pieces he's put into place, what he's done is he's effectively opened the door towards hope of wealth outside of government dependency. And the people who've been left behind the most have been black males, largely because, and listen, I didn't support this, but I'll tell you what, it may have been brilliant, because Donald Trump said, we're going to take a look at who's been put in prison, and if it's stupid, we're going to let you out. And supported and pushed hard and got criminal justice reform. And quite honestly, I was extraordinarily skeptical about it. I was on this air saying how skeptical I was about it. But I may have to admit I was wrong. At least from a political perspective, I think it changed the entire thinking in the young black community about politics. And secondly, there's always been a divide in this country between the people who have college-educated white collar and blue collar. Okay, let's just call it white collar and blue collar for lack of a different term. And if young black male voters are more associated with the color of their collar than they are the color of their skin, they're going to vote differently. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump has a blue collar appeal.
Absolutely.
And a lot of white collar people are concerned about it. And that's that's just the reality of the Trump base. And I think as black voters begin to be more concerned about their pocketbook and their hope and their ability to get a house and their ability to build a business and all those things, and less concerned about the color of the skin, you see a transformation. I think Donald Trump's brought that transformation to be. Now, I don't know. The polling may be completely off, and I haven't believed the polling on anything else, so I'm not going to believe this until I see it. But the fact that Maxine Waters is out talking about this and James Clyburn out talking about this the day before the election, the fact that Joe Biden literally had Barack Obama with him in Flint, Michigan, of all places, trying to get blacks to vote for him in Michigan, the fact that 2 days before, the black city councilman in Flint, Michigan, came out and said he supported Trump. He'd never supported a Republican before. He supported Trump and gave all the economic reasons, tells me there's something in the wind that the Democrats never expected, that they expected to continue having 90-10 out of the black community. They expected to use the racial divide to expand their base. And instead, what the racial divide is doing is it's actually causing people in the black community to reevaluate whether the Democrats have actually had their back at all.
Right.
And that's a big deal. And if it happens, people point to this election and say, this was a watershed election in terms of really restructuring the political party systems in America.
Rick, in the time remaining, I would really appreciate it if you'd give us your thoughts and opinion on the basic integrity of our vote. In other words, what I'm asking, in Miami-Dade, Florida, they found thousands upon thousands and thousands of votes laying in a room that had not been touched. The integrity of our vote, we might not know the election finale for days and or weeks. Give us your thoughts on that.
I think the left has done everything they can to try to create situations where we have questions about the vote because of the laws they're trying to push through and the changes they're making to the laws that are on the books. I think Donald Trump will be named winner within 3 days after the election. Even though North Carolina's going to be counting for 9 days, I think he's going to win enough states that North Carolina will be a moot point in terms of the Electoral College. So I think Donald Trump will win
that handily on Election Day and with the votes in hand, that it will be it won't be stealable. But I think it also is reasonable to assume that, you know, the left always talks about the popular vote, and in states like California where they don't really seem to care if somebody's eligible to vote or not, you know, there may be a plus of 3 million votes in California of people who weren't eligible to vote, at which point the popular vote becomes a moot point because, quite honestly, we're not all operating under the same system. To get to the root of your question, conservatives have always talked about federalism and states having their own systems for voting, and I've been on that side for an awful long time. This election and the previous 2 elections have caused me to question that, and I really think we may have to look at a system that has a basic standard for voting and does not allow states to effectively allow people who are ineligible to vote, because constitutionally we really have a one-person, one-vote system, and when people are ineligible vote, they deprive, in some small way, they deprive the people who are eligible from the full value of their vote, and they diminish that, and that's wrong.
Absolutely.
So I think we're going to need voter reform. I think that the system is flawed. I think the Democrats have done everything they can to make it so cheating is possible, and we have to take a look at whether or not we want on a national level, if we have the ability to, on the national level, make it so there's a system that's a one-size-fits-all system, and I hate that. And from the bottom of my core, I hate that, but the old system was an honor system that states wouldn't cheat, and that honor system has been inalterably broken.
I tell you what, I certainly appreciate all your remarks. I have one other real quick question. I've only got about 90 seconds left. The virtual gathering on the Internet of Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Iona Presley, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to discuss how to get Joe Biden further left after he's elected. That ought to tell people a lot if they saw that virtual kind of a town hall meeting.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. It's with Kamala Harris as vice president. You know, she's their key, and you can expect that the Biden presidency will be in all real facets a Bernie Sanders driven presidency. Because I assume that if Biden becomes president, the Democrats will also have control of the Senate. And as a result, I think it will be a far-left presidency. I think there will be abuse of government systems to go after political enemies, just as Obama did. And I think the laws that they will pass will be designed to make it so they have a permanent majority. And it's dangerous, and you can basically, the idea of limited government will be a joke. It'll be, I'll have the Americans for only slightly less socialist government, because that's where the body politic will move.
Absolutely.
It's dangerous. If you like your freedom, don't let them be in power.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly hope we're both together next Monday and we haven't been solicited to go count votes. Rick Manning with the great President of Americans for Limited Government. And I look forward to having you back next Monday. I hope we can be all smiles and giggles. Rick, thanks so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ed.
All right. Take care. Dear friend of this program and so knowledgeable, Rick Manning, the President of Americans for Limited Government, and taking the time to come on our show. I really do thank him. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant. What a great place to eat. Oh, yes, and it's true. It is America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts. You pick up the menu and you go, holy moly, how am I going to make a choice? It's all delicious. Whether you want breakfast like the strawberry crepes breakfast, or whether you want lunches with all their delicious sandwiches and salads or desserts, I mean, it's all there. All there for you at Denny's Restaurant, with nice people serving you too. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Don't forget, go vote November 3rd and vote yes for Amendment HJR4 and leave the number of legislative districts at 35, guaranteeing that our voices will be heard on all issues and also preserving rural representation. Paid for by Speaker of the House Representative Scott Bedke, District 27, Sarah Bedke, Treasurer. I had a nice visit the other day with the really nice folks over there at Let's Ride, and boy, they said they have got snowmobiles over there coming out the front door. I mean, they've got them packed in there so tight, I'm telling you, along with all the other great machinery, you know, your four-wheelers, side-by-sides, and your dirt bikes and everything. But it's snowmobile season, and they've got everything over there at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and they're waiting for you. Come on by. And don't forget, too, they've got all the accessories, super accessory department. And if you need work done, service work done, they've got a great service department to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really good folks. Want to remind you, too, if you're over in that area, and you should be, when you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, or employee benefits, don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Just as you make that curve going into Rupert, there they are. Big sign, can't miss them. Great people, dedicated and responsive to your needs. Todd and the rest of the folks at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, make an appointment, 436-4424. 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. I've got time for one more good, quick word before we go to the telephone and get my old buddy on the phone, and that's, of course, Frosty Woldridge. Stand by. Don't forget, Clark Kaufman asked for your vote to re-elect him as Idaho State Representative, District Seat 25B. Even more, Clark wants you to get out and exercise your right to vote. Clark Kaufman has served Idaho very well since 2012, serving you, serving all of Idaho. In order to logically keep our voices heard, Clark encourages you to vote yes on the constitutional amendment, changing the language to simply require the legislature to consist of 35 districts. Let's all do our part. Get out and vote tomorrow. Paid for by the Committee to Re-elect Clark Kaufman for House 25B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. And now, without further ado, here's my friend from in the mountains of Golden, Colorado. Been there. It is a beautiful place to live and reside. Frosty Woldridge, good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb, and it's a pleasure to be with you, and a good morning to everyone listening out there in Radio Land. It's always a pleasure to share with you on these Monday mornings. I always look forward to it, Zeb.
Well, you have been such a dear friend of this program, and I was trying to remember the other day when, where, and how we ever became acquainted in the first place. I could not remember.
We have been friends, dear friends, and best friends since 2003, when my brother Howard became the first man in the 21st century to ride a horse coast to coast across America. He started in Georgia on the beach at Jekyll Island, Georgia, and rode his horse six months and 2 weeks all the way to I think it was Newport in Freeport, right there in Oregon.
Right.
And then he became the first man in history to ride both ways when he rode from he rode from Los Angeles on the beach all the way to New York City and actually finished up in New York Harbor right there at the Statue of Liberty. And then in 2012, he not only became the first man to ride a horse coast to coast both ways, he rode a bicycle from Freeport there in Oregon all the way back and retraced the same steps of his horse, Misty, and he wrote a book called Misty's Long Ride Across America on Horseback, and he did it on a bicycle. He's the only cowboy ever to ride horses across America, but also ride a bicycle across America coast to coast. So that's when we met, and then we formed such a friendship. I've come by three times to see you. You've been several times here in Colorado as you were working the Western Sox show. So it's really been quite a friendship over the years, and it started right there in 2003.
You know, what's interesting, Frosty, and I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but I can still, to this day, remember so vividly looking to the east down the highway and seeing your brother, Howard, coming along the road with Misty, and then him riding into my front yard and asking if he could stay overnight. I remember that just like it was yesterday.
Yeah. You know, and one of the things about that ride across America on a horse, he found that America and Americans are generous. They will step out of their shoes to do anything. They'll walk the walk for you. They'll take time. And the generosity of Americans really showed, and still to this day, because I've ridden my bicycle all over America, and I've had more friendships and more people just, would you like to have dinner with us? You're certainly welcome to the bunkhouse. You're certainly welcome to the front lawn. You're certainly welcome to this special treat. I can't even begin to, and I've written, 15 books now on adventure, and certainly 5 or 6 books now, I think 6 books on riding my bicycle across America and around the world. And one of the things that is so extraordinary to me is the generosity of humans along the way, and it's always just a pleasure, because I never know what's going to happen. And also I pass it on. I remember I was bicycling the West Coast, and my latest book came out in June. It's Zen Between Two Bicycle Wheels, Eat, Pedal, Sleep. And there was a man in California, and he was driving a very rich car, an Escalante Cadillac. And he said, "Can I take a picture with you?" So his wife took a picture with me on the bike there, and he said, "Here, just enjoy." And so he gave me a bill, and I thought it was a $10 bill, and instead I went down the road. I was sweating, and I said, "I better get that $10 out of my back of my jersey," and I got it out, and oh my gosh, it was a $100 bill. And so what I did was break the $100 bill down to 10s and 5s, and all along that southern route there of California, I saw homeless, and I saw poverty and all the other stuff, and I would give out $5 for lunch. I'd give out $5 for something that poor person needed. I'd give $10 if I saw 2 on the road to pass it forward. And I think that's such an important thing to do, that if you have great experiences and people are kind to you, then when they are in need, or you see somebody in need, I always pass that generosity forward. I treat people to a dinner or lunch, fast food or whatever, just because they are less fortunate. So I really feel I'm very thankful, and I'd like to extend that gratitude and pass it forward to others I meet along the way.
Frosty, your latest piece, I want to dovetail into that, was excellent. I'm sitting right here on my desk. I've got it all highlighted already. It's called Biden versus Trump. Here's what you'll get. Let me preface my remarks and have you describe that topic that you wrote about. But, I think too many people, and I saw this to come to truth this weekend on the television, too many people are trying to be so, educated, and yet they're so naive when they say, well, I don't want to vote for Trump because I don't like his tweets. I don't like to vote for Trump Trump because I just don't like his attitude. I couldn't care less about Trump's attitude. I'm voting for results, not style.
And you would be very correct there. One of the things that I did, and I've done it before in the past, I've researched everything Joe Biden's done for 47 years in Congress. And while a senator, he gave no bills that did anything, in fact, virtually nothing. Mostly the man is filled with hot air, and now babbling hot air, because if you have seen any of the videotapes of him, he falls asleep in interviews. He's frail. He certainly he's suffering from onset dementia. He can't even remember people's names. He doesn't know what year it is. He makes so many misstatements. And I would say this, and I said it in my piece this morning, and you can all get it on newswithviews.com, and that is this. The man is, he's not going to make it through 3 months of what the pressures of the presidency are. And so if you're voting for Biden, for whatever your reasons that you don't like Trump, you're voting for a man for 47 years is the reason of all the consequences, and also known as the swamp. There in Washington, D.C., they don't get anything done. He's with the likes of Nancy Pelosi and Charles Schumer. They're forever Democrat, senators and certainly House members and Speaker of the House. And instead of getting and moving America toward a more positive future, men and women like Pelosi and certainly Joe Biden have done nothing but a lot of hot air. And in fact, in the 47 months or so that Trump has been a president, instead of 47 years, Trump has remarkably done extraordinary, trade changes and standing up China, stopping 7 countries who harbor terrorists from being able to come to our country, stopping their visas, stopping them at the passport turnstiles, certainly bringing home hostages. I mean, when you really look at what Donald Trump's done, the one thing I appreciate about him is that he is an all-American, and he's working for all Americans, and he gets results. And that, in the end, is what we should be voting for, not a bunch of hot air from Joe Biden.
You know, your story is very well put, especially the one paragraph that relates to all the years of you being on my program. And I'm just going to read this quickly and have you respond. If you read his platform, speaking of Biden, he promises to turn our borders into a welcome mat for the world's refugees. He will gift amnesty to 25 million illegal aliens from the past and those streaming into our country during his tenure in the White House. I'm really concerned about the naivete of the American public buying into the Biden-Harris garbage that they're trying to spew to America.
Well, it's quite frightening, and if you've seen the other video, he promises to place Muslims at all levels of power in his chain of command there at the White House if he's elected president. And the problem is that if you look at, and you can read the book, The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray, or The Blackening of Europe by Claire Lewis. Read those 2 books, and you'll see exactly what happens when you open the doors of a first world country to third world and 6th century religions that are violent and have no business being in a 21st century first world country, and that is Islam. You all noticed last week that there was 2 beheadings of one old lady at a church and then a teacher there in France. And this goes on all the time. Muslims kill 20,000 of their wives or daughters every year as a matter of just that's the way they work. They don't want to have that wife, or they don't want to have that daughter embarrasses the family by speaking up or something. They kill them. They stone them. They chop their heads off. They shoot them. They suffocate them. The female genital mutilation is just so barbaric. It's unbelievable, and they do it to all of their little girls. It literally completely takes all their genitals out. And so you see this kind of stuff going on, and we now have it here in this country. We have female genital mutilation in America. They even show you, the imams show how to whip a woman so it won't show the marks on her to keep her docile. I mean, how does anybody, and so here is a man that's going to put Muslims at every level of power. He has said this in a video because he wants 1 million Muslim votes. I'm sorry, we don't need Muslims and their Sharia law in our country because it is frightening, it is ugly, it's parasitic, it's violent, it's inhumane on multiple levels. And I simply state the facts in this article.
Well, let me ask you this, and I think it goes without saying how afraid I am. When I saw the virtual gathering on the Internet between Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley, Bernie was literally visiting with these women and saying how they've got to get out and push Joe Biden into the White House so that when he is elected president, God help us all know, that they'll be able to lead him further left. I mean, this was a very scary moment on the Internet with that virtual town hall.
Yes, indeed. I actually saw that. I'm amazed we both saw that. And here's the thing. Somebody like Ilhan Omar, she's not very bright. She's from Somalia. She doesn't have a 3-digit IQ, I can tell you that. And the reality is she's steeped in Islam, and she is brainwashed, and she is literally anti-America. I guarantee you this. I would stake the next 10 years of my work life that she's never read the U.S. Constitution. She hasn't read the Bill of Rights. She doesn't know that. She hasn't read the Declaration of Independence. She wouldn't know the Declaration of Independence from anything in the world. And yet she got herself stuck into the House of Representatives. Same with Rashida Tlaib. These women, these people, they have no affinity to America or constitutional law whatsoever. You have to understand that. They would, in a heartbeat, if they had the power, would absolutely install Sharia law into the U.S. Constitution and displace the U.S. Constitution if there were enough of them, if they were the majority of the 535 the men and women who are representing us in the Senate and the House of Representatives. That's how dangerous these kinds of people are. And the more somebody like Joe Biden empowers them, the more we're going to be fighting for the U.S. Constitution against Sharia law. That's what we're facing, and that's how critical it is. And Bernie Sanders and the rest of those characters up there, they're so far left. I mean, it should turn your stomach if you're an American citizen who believes and loves the U.S. Constitution. And again, I'll say this. The U.S. Constitution is the most replicated document in the world for governance around the world. It has allowed more countries to be free. Whereas if you take Sharia law and you go to Saudi Arabia, or you go to Kazakhstan, or you go to Iraq, or you go to Pakistan, or you go to any of those crazy third world countries, that's what Sharia law renders the people. And the kinds of consequences to women is unbelievable. You'd have to be an absolute fool. That's why I'm so amazed that feminists in this country, oh yeah, I'm a Muslim too. Yeah, okay, then why don't you make an appointment to get your genitals cut out by a genital cutout doctor that follows Sharia law, or have yourself be 1/2 of the value of a man. Again, we can't have this in America, and it needs to be stopped. And in fact, we need to create a law in America that no other laws are allowed above U.S. constitutional law in this country to stop Sharia law.
Absolutely.
Implemented in states across the country where these Muslims are enclaving.
Absolutely. I've only got about 3 minutes left, and I want you to comment on this. I find it totally irresponsible for any politicians to blame and point the finger at Donald Trump and this administration for COVID-19. It was released by a heinous and very, very dangerous and deadly Chinese government upon the world. If there's any finger pointing that should happen, it should be the American public condemning and damning the Chinese government for the COVID-19. What are your thoughts?
There's no question about that. The COVID came from China. It is a Chinese origin. They let it spread across, and they kept shipping people out and letting them fly to all these countries. That's what spread it. These disease vectors were the Chinese themselves going into other countries. And if Barack Obama was president, and that would have happened he would have not done anything himself differently. It probably wouldn't have been as effective whatsoever. Joe Biden wouldn't have known what to do because, for the most part, the man is nothing but hot air. I mean, I got to say this: Joe Biden is a pathological liar. He has lied so much he doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. And for him to become president of the United States, we are going to see ourselves go into a tailspin. But that is just the way it is, and that's why, God help all of us, this election may be one of the great turning points of America, because if we continue with Antifa and the Black Lives Matter kind of anarchy, our streets and our cities are, Philadelphia last week, I'm sorry, we're in a lot of trouble, and we've got to stop it, and we need to do that with the rule of law. And whether you like Trump or not, he is going to stand up for America, and in the end, he will bring the rule of law down on all these anarchists, and that's our only hope.
Okay, it's time. Today is the day before the finals of our election 2020. What are your thoughts quickly as to the final outcome?
At this point, I am totally... I don't believe the polls by CNN. I don't believe any of the polls by MSNBC. And so I really don't know. But what I do know is 10, 20, 30,000 people come to these Trump rallies. I know that there was a car line in one of the states that was over 70 miles long both ways with Trumpers, with all the flags. So you know that there's Americans out there that want our country to thrive, and if that's any indication, then Trump's going to take the presidency again, because, as I said, you go to a Biden rally, and the man has mostly people from the press are there, and there's very few, I mean, literally 20 to 30 people standing in line, standing around listening to Kamala Harris, who is totally uninspiring, and certainly Joe Biden, who is totally not inspiring. And so if you take it from that, then Trump should win the presidency, because, again, I don't trust any of those polls out there, and I know the American people are really looking at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as not an example of what we want there in the White House. That's my hope and prayers.
I could not agree with you more. My dear, dear friend back in Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woldridge, God bless you, and we'll talk to you, and we'll have a lot more to talk about next Monday on the show. Thanks, Frosty.
Okay, and thank you, Zeph.
God bless. Wow, I enjoy having him on the air. I really, really do. Hey, go vote tomorrow on November 3rd and vote yes for Amendment HJR 4 and leave the number of legislative districts at 35, guaranteeing that our voices will be heard on all issues and also preserving rural representation. Paid for by Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke, District 27, Sarah Bedke, Treasurer. Time for the weather. And the weather is brought to you by the professionals. Oh, they are good. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, and they can and they will help you, your family, and your business with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. The list goes on and on. They are the professionals. Get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Warmer than normal temperatures for the beginning of the work week, cooling off by the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting mostly sunny skies, high of about 69, winds out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight mostly clear skies, low of 32. Tomorrow sunny and 70 with an overnight low of 35. By Wednesday, sunny and 68. Again, 70 for Thursday, 61 for Friday, low 40s for Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, things are going to change. Boy, that's a drop-off this weekend. Don't forget the professionals serving you with the accounting services you need. I know because they are working for us. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Accounting services, and believe me, they know what they're doing to serve you. Offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 620 Fish 5th Street in Rupert. Yep, it's true. The professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Want to remind you, too, about, I just think the world of these people, and that's Curtis and Lorena over at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. You know, they know all about electronics. I mean, a guy like me, I just know if you plug it in and turn it on, it should run. They know everything about the mechanics and how it's structured and what it can do, etc. Home theater systems, surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all the TVs from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, and now they've even got dehydrated food over there. You better check it out. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and I urge you to stop in and see my friends. They are good. Curtis and Lorena at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. The number to call, 678-6997. What have we got coming up next hour? It's going to be really interesting. We've got a gentleman by the name of Bob Zadek, and he's going to be on the program with us. He's the author of Essential Liberty, Finding Freedom in a Post-COVID World. And then at 10:30, we've got Dog Days. We got all kinds of things coming up this next hour. Don't you miss it. By the way, too, tomorrow, November 3rd, District 24A needs Paul Thompson in the Idaho House. Paul knows we need values established by God, fiscal responsibility, and all life matters. The right to protect ourselves and guaranteed freedom to worship and speak. A strong state education system and patients are in charge, not politicians. And above all, our Constitution is never, ever second to anyone. Vote Paul Thompson, District 24A, paid for by Paul Thompson for Idaho, Issy Gibbs, Treasurer. Tomorrow is a very big day, so if you haven't made your arrangements for tomorrow to go vote, get everything done today, your sock drawer rearranged, the kitty box cleaned out, maybe you needed to shine a pair of boots, whatever you can use as a possible excuse, do it today so everybody can go vote tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be kind of a fun day in the morning, the first hour. This is an opinion program, and so I'm going to utilize that word opinion. And in the first hour, we're going to talk about the various races and, quite frankly, my thoughts about who should or who should not be elected or reelected. And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow morning in the first hour. And I think some of the choices and picks might surprise you just a little bit. We're going to take a little break for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back with Bob Zadek in the next hour. I urge you to remember to go vote tomorrow, November 3rd. And right now we'll send it back over to Sean. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. All right, here we go, sailing into the last hour. Zeb at the Ranch right here on KBAR and on the internet, zebbell.com, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and, of course, the best in service. And don't forget, too, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you, vote tomorrow, November 3rd, and be sure to vote yes for the levy increase for the Rock Creek Fire District. They are always there to serve us. Now, let's help them. Vote yes for the Rock Creek Fire District levy, paid for by Rock Creek Firefighters Association. Want to also give a great big shout-out this morning to our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the crew. My goodness, they're having a harvest sale over there. No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit. 40% off on all the furniture and the mattresses and the dining room sets. And listen to this, if you think that's great, 50% off on Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses. You better not walk, but run down to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More right now at 459 Overland in Burley and take in all the great buys for their harvest sale. You bet. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Real quick, before we go to our guest, I also want to remind you about our friend Clark Kaufman, and of course, don't forget, he is running for re-election tomorrow. We've got a lot of great politicals that have been on our program for about the last month. Clark Kaufman asked for your vote to re-elect him as Idaho State Representative, District 25B. Even more, Clark wants you to get out and exercise your right to vote. Clark Kaufman has served Idaho well since 2012, serving you, serving all of Idaho. In order to logically keep our voices heard, Clark encourages you to vote yes on the constitutional amendment, changing the language to simply require the legislature to consist of 35 districts. Let's all do our part. Get out and vote tomorrow. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Clark Kaufman for House 25B. Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really looking forward to our next interview. He is the author of a book called Essential Liberty, Finding Freedom in a Post-COVID World, Bob Zadek. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on this show. I appreciate the invitation.
Well, you're very welcome, but let me ask first and foremost, did I pronounce the last name correctly? If not, tell me the correct way to say it.
You pronounced it perfectly. My compliments. Many people don't, but because of your grasp of language, you nailed it on the first shot.
Well,
we're off on the right foot.
I appreciate it, sir. Listen, tell me about your book, Essential Liberty, Finding Freedom in a Post-COVID World. There's some kind of insidious meanings in that, like we're losing a lot of our freedoms because of the COVID-19. Is that your general belief?
No, it's everybody's general belief, and it's not a belief, it's a fact.
Yes.
The beliefs are embedded in the book, but you start with a fact. Of course we lost our essential liberty. Lockdowns are a huge deprivation of essential liberty, and we have been a country proudly for 231 years. This is maybe the first time that local officials, governors, mayors, and the like, notice I excluded the president because the president had nothing directly to do with the lockdowns, so I excluded him not because he's not worthy of mention, but because on this topic he's not a central player. But mayors and governors have, for reasons I'd be happy to explain, for the first time in our history, have deprived everyone without any reason, that is any reason relating to law enforcement, of more of their essential, and I use the word essential, liberty than they've ever been deprived of before in American history, short of incarceration. And that's what happened. Now, what I just said cannot be disputed. You might want to attempt to justify it, and that may be part of what we talk about. So we certainly can talk about why it happened, but we can't talk about what happened because it's a fact.
Absolutely. Bob, you'll find that I'm a very, very right-wing conservative, and when this virus leaked out of China, it seems like it was absolutely tailor-made for the left and the Democratic Party to utilize the disease, the virus, whatever you want to call it, to point their finger at this administration in blame when there has hardly been any pointing of blame against the original source and the meaning of the source of danger, China, that released this. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have several thoughts. First of all, the subject of the international politics is certainly an appropriate topic. We can talk about that if you wish. That's not specifically the subject of the book, but that certainly is an important issue for your listeners to understand and appreciate. Second of all, as to how democratically controlled states would also, in addition to depriving you and I of our liberty, they also were, with their assistance from the media, trying to turn a health issue into a political issue. Well, of course they do that. That's what politicians do. They look for any chance when they can massage the facts and use that to political advantage. To me, as a libertarian, the political machinations, the political tactics in order to gain a vote here and there is important to me, but that is a manipulation of the voting public. My book focused on, while I agree with you, that did happen profoundly, and that could be certainly the topic of an entire segment of your show. But just in answer to your question, my book focused on what I hold most dear to me, which is my liberty, my freedom to go about my life, enjoy all of the freedoms that is given to me by the Constitution, and never to be deprived of those freedoms, so long as in my exercise of my freedoms, I am not depriving somebody else of their same freedoms.
You know,
and this is the first time that citizens have been told you cannot earn a living, you cannot go out and purchase things, you cannot interact with your friends, you cannot go to church, not because you did anything wrong, but because you are, in the eyes of government, incapable of making decisions about how to organize your life, and therefore we, the government, must take that decision-making process from you, and we will make decisions for you, like whether you should eat in a restaurant, and whether you should show up for work, and whether you should wear a mask. Those are personal decisions, but you are incompetent. And the left has one unifying feature. The left always believes they are smarter than you and I in organizing our life. And therefore, they believe because they are smarter, they have to deny you the freedom to make your own decisions. And it is that deprivation of freedom that got me so riled up that I felt I had to share my views in a cathartic way with the public, and that's why I wrote the book.
Bob, let me ask you this, and I'm sure I'm probably not going to phrase this question correctly, but I shoot from the hip on this show. How did the left get the COVID-19 so orchestrated and choreographed to utilize it against this president and this administration and take away our freedoms?
Well, if you ask me what tools did they use, it was kind of easy. They had a very cooperative, generally mainstream media, generally cooperative media, and when the left chooses to concoct a story and sell the story to the voting public, it's hard to do so, or harder, without a cooperative media. But the media was perfectly willing to do that. There was, besides a decline in freedom during the COVID period, besides that, there was a decline, profound decline, or continuation of decline in responsible journalism. The whole profession of journalism has become weakened. The standards, the morality, the trust we ought to be able to have in mainstream media is all gone. They have become like the teachers union and like Black Lives Matter. They have been co-opted and become simply arms of the left and the Democratic Party. And another loss that we suffer as a country is the loss of responsible media. So how they did it is kind of easy. You'd have to be a fool not to be able to be successful because you had so many tools working for you.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking about everything you're saying. I believe is 100% correct. And just last week, Dr. Anthony Fauci came out with a little story that was perpetrated by the Associated Press about how, we'd better not have Thanksgiving because of the promotion of COVID-19, and which is going to lead to maybe we better not have Christmas, maybe we'd better not celebrate New Year's, or come spring, maybe we shouldn't have Easter. I see this as a very insidious way to take away all of our civilized gatherings as a society.
Well, course, and you are quite right in your observation. What is happening is it certainly is appropriate for you and I, everyday Americans, to be guided by good, competent, professional advice. We do that all the time. We might ask an accountant to help us with our tax return. If we don't feel well, we go to a doctor. We seek professional help all the time. The problem is, during the crisis, the government did two things, and I say government quite broadly. This is not universally true, but it happens enough to be worthy of mention. What government did was, government was shopping for a solution that furthers their political goals. Mm-hmm. So when you shop, you do what us lawyers, I'm a practicing attorney, you do what us lawyers call you forum shop. You pick a judge who is more likely than not to decide in your favor. You don't just go to any courtroom. You look for the right court in the right state with the right judge. Well, that's what government does. And when the COVID crisis hit, what governments did in general, and by the way, President Trump succumbed to some of this as well, but not nearly as badly. What governments did, they had a pandemic crisis, and they turned over total decision-making to doctors. Now, that seemed natural because the problem was a medical problem. But the solution had more components. There was an economic impact as well as a health impact. And the elected officials should have said, overall, what is the best way to manage this, considering the overall well-being of our citizens? And health is a component of that well-being, but not the only one. To be healthy, but have no money and can't buy food and can't take care of your family is kind of nice, but what good is it? You don't have any money. And the question is, it's balancing. You have to balance the economic and the health and make a decision what's best overall. Now, that's hard for government because they have to decide the word that makes government officials fear the most. The last thing they want to do is decide stuff. So they outsource the decision-making to a doctor. The doctor doesn't care about economics. He cares about the virus. So, in effect, every elected official who succumbed, they hid in their room, and they pushed a doctor in front of the media. Hey, doctor, you tell us what to do. And the governor or the mayor said, can't yell at me. The doctor says what to do, and I'm listening to the doctor. They get reelected because they didn't make a decision. If things go badly, yell at the doctor. Don't yell at me. It's politics at its worst. And that's what happened during this crisis, and that's why I chose to write the book. Because government did an incompetent job of looking after our overall health and welfare. And the last comment I'll make, if I may, is that in this process, freedom was devalued. Whatever solution you had, the fact that the solution caused the taking away of freedom was irrelevant to elected officials. Mm-hmm. That made me nuts. Freedom is not a throwaway value that can be disposed of at the drop of a hat. And that's why I wrote the book.
Well, you know, Bob, when you sit there and you're giving me these explanations, so many things come to mind, like Governor Whitmer in Michigan with the saying you can't even take your boat on the lake to go fishing, or you can't plant certain things in your garden.
By yourself.
Right. Or Governor Cuomo, what he did in New York, the governor of California, etc. The taking and accepting and saying that they had the power to take away all these freedoms from America, how are we going to get them back?
Two ways. And by the way, I cover this every Sunday, if I may, on my show. As you know, I do a live radio show.
Yes.
It's live on AM radio. It's live streamed across the country on the web. It's the Bob Zadek Show, Z-A-D-E-K, and I have a podcast as well. All my shows, all 700 of them are in the podcast. I cover every topic imaginable, a full hour, no commercials, always a guest. And you can follow the podcast at wherever you get your podcast. So I cover this stuff. But to answer your question, we do so in two ways. One way is ineffective, but we have it. And the other way is effective. And by the way, Idaho is a beneficiary of the second way. Now, what's the first way? Ballot voting. We have an election tomorrow, vote with a ballot. That is kind of ineffective because one vote matters so little, you can't really improve your own life by voting because one vote is not going to change your life. There's another kind of voting that's underrated but incredibly effective, and that benefits Idaho. And that's known in politics as foot voting. As you know, probably makes you unhappy, a lot of Californians living in a very autocratic system with a very autocratic governor and one-party government, Californians are abandoning the state in droves. And they are going to Idaho a lot. The bad news for you guys is they may be bringing their politics. The good news is they're bringing their credit cards and their checkbooks. So foot voting, it's one vote, isn't it? One person leaves. But foot voting profoundly affects the voter. The person leaving from California to the promised land of Idaho, that person's life and family is materially better as a result, more so than their life would ever be improved by how they vote. That's kind of empty and vacuous. But voting with your feet sends a message, and governors see everybody's leaving California.
Yes.
And going to Texas and Idaho and North Dakota and Nevada and Arizona and Colorado. States that are more welcoming, that have a more freedom-loving government. And Idaho is high on that list, so my compliments to you.
Thank you,
so
sir.
How do people do it? They do what the pioneers did in wagons. They do what immigrants do every day when they're allowed. They move, and they vote with their feet, and they move to a political environment that's more in line with their values. So no one in this country is powerless. You vote with a ballot, and you vote with your feet, and governments will get the message.
We only have about 2 minutes left. We have a caller with a question. Caller, quickly, you're on the air, please.
Thank you. I had a question for your guest. My question was, has he seen any type of collusion through the National Governors Association trying to push some of those bad policies from places like New York and Michigan down to other states like Idaho? Thank you.
Excellent question, Bob. Please respond to the caller.
I haven't seen it, and frankly, there can't be collusion unless both sides are cooperating. So you have to have, number one, a governor of, let's say, New York, a bad state, trying to persuade a governor of a good or better state like Idaho, that governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, trying to sell his failed policies to a governor in Idaho. That government, how would a sane governor, seeing a failed system, say, sounds good to me, I'm going to do it? So at the and I have been active for a bit in the Republican Governors Conference, and I've seen them in action. And when I have attended meetings of the Republican Governors Conference, what I observed was the governors learn from each other what works, not what doesn't work. So I find, in general, governors want to get reelected, and in general, they want to do a good job, and therefore you do what you and I do. If we see a neighbor doing something that works better than what we're doing, we'll say, my goodness, what a good idea, I'm going to do it. Well, governors are human beings first, and they're likely to do the same thing. I think more likely governors will see what goes on in Illinois and New York and California, and they will say, "Oh my God, I better not try that." And I love what's happening in New York and Illinois especially, and California. I love the failure, because other governors will say, and voters will say, I don't want that failure to come into my state. So I love the fact that some states are very progressive, because it explains the bankruptcy of their beliefs much more than I could or anybody could on a radio show.
Absolutely.
You can see it.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for the call.
I tell you what, Bob, I've only got 30 seconds left. The book, Essential Liberty, Finding Freedom in a Post-COVID World. Where can my audience find the book?
They can find the book on my website or on Amazon. My website is bobzadek, ZADEK.com. My show is 8 to 9 a.m. Sunday morning Pacific time, live stream on the web, and it's in a podcast for listening at your leisure. I hope you'll enjoy the podcast. Every Sunday, it's pure content, no commercials, every Sunday for a full hour.
There you go. Bob Zadek, please come back on the program. You're a refreshing breath of fresh air. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, sir. The author of the book, Essential Liberty, Finding Freedom in a Post-COVID World, Bob Zadek. Thank you very much. Quickly, I want to remind you, go vote tomorrow. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and vote for the candidate of your choice tomorrow, Tuesday, November 3rd. This message paid by the re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood Committee, Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Want to also remind you about something that's going on over at Redder Showcase. This week, it's the Customer Appreciation Sale. It's going to be on Friday and Saturday. You better believe it, 8:30 in the morning till 6 on Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday. Holy moly, refrigerators in stock starting at just $4.49. Deluxe Queen mattresses starting at $4.99. And they sell American-made furniture. And oh my goodness, you don't want to pass this up. They've got drawings for a free Serta Queen mattress set starting at $14.99. You'd better get in there and check it out. Everything in the store on sale for the Customer Appreciation Sale at Redder Showcase this weekend, 2611 Overland in Burley. Right now, let's send it back over to Sean. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
We have missed the last couple of weeks with this lady, and I see she's trying to call me on my cell phone right now. And Deb, hang up. So, Sean, do you have her on the line over there at the station?
No, I'm calling.
Yeah, well, she's on the phone trying to call me on my cell phone, and there's no way I can answer that call right now. We're waiting to talk to Deb Hines over at Minidoka Animal Control so we can find out more about the dogs that are up for adoption, and also one of their co-sponsors, Wagon Tails Rescue. We want to issue them a great big thank you, so we're waiting for Deb Hines to call and let us know that she's on the line. Very good. Deb, you keep calling my cell phone when I'm on the air. I can't talk to you.
Well, and I keep butt dialing you, so you should feel grateful.
Well, we have missed you over the last couple of weeks. Bring us up to speed. Are you all right?
Yeah, I got bronchitis, and then they decided that I had COVID.
Oh, my.
Which, yeah, it was like, I've got a really bad cold. But anyway, he gave me some meds, and I'm all better, so it couldn't have been COVID because that's not medicated, I understand. Anyway, so I'm sorry for missing you last week. This week, I'm going to let Kelly talk to you for a minute because I'm driving down the road.
Okay.
And I want her to describe these two dogs to you. They're brothers, and they're really cool. And then when she's done, I'll get back on, and we'll talk about Wagon Tails a little bit and the other stuff that's going on here that I'd like you to know about. Okay?
Very good. Thank you very much. Kelly, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning.
Kelly, it's nice to have you on the program again, and I understand you've got a couple of dogs you'd like to highlight this morning. Go ahead, please.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So their names are Scooby and Oreo. They came in to us as owner surrenders. The owners had too many dogs and had to give up a couple. They are lab mixes. They do well with other dogs. So we have them running around with our Mastiff crosses, our other labs, our healers, you name it. They just want to play and have fun. They are about a year and a half years old, and they seem to do all okay with cats. The people that had them introduced to cats, and they didn't seem to mind. Does well with kids. They can either go together or they can go separately. They'd be really, really loyal dogs to anyone who decided they wanted them.
Kelly, let me ask you, and you brought up a very good point here just a second ago. They can either go together or not. Well, when the dog is like a year and a half old, it's going to be kind of tough to break up that dynamic duo, isn't it?
It's not bad. So actually, sometimes even them growing up, we've had a couple that came in together that grew up together, and they did better apart than they did together.
Okay.
When they were together, they had like this bully mentality, and so separating them, actually, they turned into totally different dogs.
Okay, now, you said they're a lab mix. How big will these dogs be?
These dogs, I am 5'2", and these dogs go a little bit above my kneecap.
Okay.
And they're not going to grow anymore. I consider them medium dogs.
Okay, now, what would they be best suited for? What kind of a family situation?
I think a family that was younger, that has kids, would be great, maybe older kids. I think, would be suited for somebody that has a house versus an apartment.
Okay. And what do they have to do to come over and see Scooby and Oreo?
If anyone is interested in Scooby and Oreo, they just have to call us here at the shelter. We encourage appointments so that we can have them ready. They can take time. If they have other dogs, please bring your other dogs so we can see how they do together. And just come in and see if it would be a good fit for your home.
Now, did you have any other dogs you want to feature this week, or just Scooby and Oreo?
Just Scooby and Oreo.
And it sounds to me like they would be an ideal family situation dog, or dogs if you want both of them, right?
And they're still young enough to where training them for what fits your family would be easy. They are receptive to basic commands. They just need they need a home and tender, loving care.
You know, Deb and I have talked in the past programs, Kelly, about we're being lulled into a false sense of security this week with the temperatures probably getting up into the 70s until maybe Saturday, and then the bottom's going to fall out. Talk to us a little bit quickly about taking care of the dogs outside during the cold temperatures.
Well, if you have an outside dog, we encourage you guys to have a place for them to have shelter. Make sure their water is defrosted. With the cold at night, their water does freeze over, and you need to be a responsible pet owner and make sure that they have that. Heat lamps. At my house, we do heat lamps for our outside dogs, where they have like a little shed to go into with warm blankets, bedding.
Well, you talked just a little bit about it, but it's very, very cheap, really, when you look at the caring of the animals, to get one of those electric water heaters for watering, because, boy, in the cold temperatures, you put the water in there, and 25 minutes later, that's solid ice.
It's freezing. Yeah, we do that with our outside cats, too. We have the heated water.
Okay.
But when we have the heat lamps going in our little shed, we put the water inside, and that seems to help as well, too.
Well, the dogs that she's featuring this week are Scooby and Oreo. They are lab mixes. They're not big dogs, and they'd be excellent for families. And, Kelly, I want to say thank you to you for coming on and talking to us about them. And if you'd hand the phone back over to Deb, we'll talk a little bit about Wagon Tails.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Deb, if you've got the phone, partner with you at Minidoka Animal Control is Wagon Tails Rescue. What would you like the public to know?
know that they are doing a fantastic job at helping us get our animals spay and neutered, as well as the public. Like I said, if they want to, we have an application they can fill out. If they want to call me, I can mail it to them, and they can fill it out and send it back to the other Deb.
Okay.
And then we'll get a hold of them and get their cats or their dogs spayed or neutered for $25.
Okay. You know, we don't very often talk about cats, but cats and dogs going into this colder season. And like I just said to Kelly, the weather forecast is this next weekend we could even see some snow. And boy, they better be ready with some place for these animals to kind of hole up and stay warm.
Yep, my outside cats, of course, they're all feral, but I have stacked straw in my shed and make sure that their water is plugged in. My outside dogs are under heat lamps. Water's plugged in. I got, obviously, plug in the heaters for the horses. But, yeah, this stuff, and, you know, this weather change, like our 3 days of fall and then into the winter, affects an animal just like it does us.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that says, man, I have caught such a bad cold. Well, yeah, you were 70-degree weather and then you dropped to 29. It's going to hard on your body.
Well, Deb,
and it's hard on the animals.
Absolutely.
They are actually no different than we are.
Absolutely. Wagon Tails Rescue, basically, what's their main mission? What are they trying to do through Minidoka Animal Control?
What we are trying to do, Wagon Tails Rescue, is get spay and neuters done to keep these dogs safe and healthy and in their homes.
Absolutely.
And stop the population explosion.
Absolutely.
I just got in Sunday a female and 9 pups.
Oh, my.
So here we go again.
Well, I can see that your job is, quite frankly, never-ending, and every day is a new discovery of dogs that have either been abandoned or maybe their owners have to leave the country. If the public wants to see any of these dogs, please give us the times, the telephone numbers, where they can come over and see if they've got a good fit for their family.
Okay, I'm usually here no later than 8 o'clock in the morning, so they can come from 8 to 1, Monday through Friday, or 8 to noon on Saturdays. And the phone number is 208-438-2200. And we will be more than happy to show them the dogs, and I've got a book if they need to look the breed up or whatever and discuss it, you know, whatever we can do to help them find the perfect pet.
Absolutely. And, of course, we're talking to Deb Hines with the Minidoka Animal Control, and the 2 featured dogs this morning were Scooby and Oreo, and we'll look forward to having you back on the air next week. And stay healthy, Deb.
Sir.
Stay healthy.
You too, sir. Thank you very much, and have a great week.
I will. Thank you very, very much. They do such a wonderful job taking care of the dogs that have been abandoned, or maybe like I said, owners had to leave the country, and take them over to the Minidoka Animal Control. Boy, I tell you what, it would be a tough, tough job. I'd fall in love with almost every one of them. I want to remind you, too, go and vote tomorrow, November 3rd, and vote yes for Amendment HJR4, and leave the number of legislative districts at 35, guaranteeing that our voices will be heard on all issues and also preserving rural representation. Paid for by Speaker of the House Representative Scott Bedke, District 27, Sarah Bedke, Treasurer. Right after the weather forecast, I would like you to give me a call. And the reason I want your calls, I'm going to take about 10, 12 minutes of calls, and I want to see what your thoughts on Election Day tomorrow are. Do you think that we're going to have another 4 years of Donald Trump and his presidency and administration, or do you think this country is ready now to go down the black trail of socialism, which it will, if we see the team of Biden and Harris win this election? I'd like to hear your thoughts. First and foremost, let's get the weather on, brought to you by Don Scarrow and Scarrow's Meats at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to give them a call, 324-7657. Or if you want to check out all the delicious meats, go to scarrowsmeats.com. Oh my goodness, all the pork ribs and all the tri-tips and all the turkeys and the hams, that's right around the corner, you know. All those different bacons and sausages, it's all there and all delicious from Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. Caller, stay on the line. I'll be right there, but first of all, here's Gina with the weather.
Warmer than normal temperatures for the beginning of the work week, cooling off by the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Today we are expecting mostly sunny skies, high of about 69, winds out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight mostly clear skies, low of 32. Tomorrow sunny and 70 with an overnight low of 35. By Wednesday, sunny and 68. Again, 70 for Thursday, 61 for Friday, low 40s for Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, the weather brought to you by Scarrow's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. That telephone number again, 324-7657. Oh, it's true. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb. Right now, I'm pushing 91. What happens between now and another year or two isn't going to affect me or Mary one way or the other. Now, for this younger generation that's so enthralled with socialism and communism, don't realize that if they vote these people in, they have lost everything. There's no way for them to go from the day they vote for these people until the day they die. It will be it could be controlled by the Democratic Party or whoever other communist is in control of this country.
Yes. I totally agree with you and give an affirmation to everything you just said, because I'm just really afraid and nervous about the naivete of the younger generation coming up that does not understand the insidious black hole of socialism and total government control. I could not agree with you more. Thank you, Tony, for your call.
I've been in Saigon, I've been in Hanoi, I've seen what the communist situation was over there, and I would not want to go through it as a young person.
Absolutely. To you and Mary, God's blessings. Thank you so much, Tony. You're a valued listener. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Zeb.
Wow, he hit it right on the head. Perfectly. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. You know, I think Trump's going to win the election. I don't think Biden stands a chance. I can't imagine anybody in their right mind voting for such a corrupt, dumb, ridiculously poor candidate that Biden is. He was vice president under the worst world leader that ever lived on the face of this earth. Who would want to go back to something similar to what we had under Obama?
I totally agree with you too, Jerry. It's just that the sales job, if you will, that has been promoted by the left and the Democratic Party to try to swing this country, thanks to the likes of Bernie and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I just do not understand why people are so naive and can't see through the thin veil of how devastating that's going to be to the greatest free country in the world.
Well, you're right there. We've got a lot of corrupt radio stations and a lot of corrupt politicians, and I think they're all on one side. Well, I won't say all of them. There's some on both. But anyhow, I'll get out of your way, give somebody else a chance to say what they think.
God bless you, Jerry. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Calls are welcome. Thank you, Jerry. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just want to say that if you have not voted, please go vote tomorrow. please, it's so important that we vote in this election. I see it, honestly, as a election of keeping the standards of our Constitution and our value system and the American ideal versus completely throwing that in the garbage and going with a liberalized, socialized approach and taking apart the framework of America that our forefathers, our brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, everybody fought for and quite frankly died for. I think tomorrow's election is absolutely so important, and I urge you to go vote. If you've got a thought on tomorrow's elections, please give me a call right now at 436-2244. Good morning. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Are you talking to me, Rob?
It is. Go ahead, please.
Hey, are you on the air?
You are on the air. Go ahead, please.
Oh, can you hear me?
For heaven's sake, yes. Go ahead, please.
I was asking, are you on the air?
I am on the air. Yes, sir.
You know who Moroni is?
I'm not going to get into any religion right now, and I will not discuss religion.
It's not the politics.
What's that?
Trump and Pence. Trumpet. That's who's in the White House right now.
Okay. All right, thank you for your call. I mean, I didn't want to play 20 questions with you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Sean, let's go ahead and we'll cut that one. Thank you. I'm not going to go into anything like Trump, Pence, and all that type of thing. Calls about the election, your thoughts. And please, if I can hear you and I answer the phone and Sean answers the phone, yes, you are on the air. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your next call, I want to also give a great big shout out to my major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Be sure and remember that they have all the tires for tire changing season. That's what we're in right now. It sounds like we may be seeing some of that muck and yuck on the highways before too long, and that angel dandruff we're going to have to drive through. So I urge you to stop in and check out the tires for your vehicle. They've got all the tread designs and all the sizes, and believe me, also the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Don't forget, when the cold temperatures at night, you go out in the morning and hear nothing but a click, 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 you should have checked that battery or got a brand new one from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family over in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody does it better than your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow on the program, we are going to have Dan Kish, American Energy Alliance. We're also going to have a gentleman by the name of Dan Ferris coming on the program, and Dr. History is going to be here at 10:06, and then Chuck Driscoll has got a bunch of things planned for the celebration and commemoration of Veterans Day, and he's going to call us at about 10:30 tomorrow morning. Plenty of time for you and me and everyone to go to the polls tomorrow and vote. There are no excuses, no valid excuses, please. And I wrote in my blog this last week about kind of an old blowhard I never will forget that I ran into in a cafe about 2-3 years ago that was yelling and screaming about the outcome of the election and saying, darn this, that's not exactly the words, darn this and darn that, and then when asked by a fellow cohort at his table if he had voted, he said no, he didn't take the time. Don't complain if you don't go vote. We'll be here tomorrow morning at 8:06. The way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to me always, every day, in God we trust. Please remember to go vote tomorrow and then tune us in at 8:06 tomorrow morning right here on KBAR, 12:30 a.m. and then streaming live all over the world on ZebBell.com. Have a great day. Go vote tomorrow. See you then.